Hello YouTube, and welcome back to the Loose Transistor channel. I'm your host Lucas, and we're here today in the Loose Transistor Cave to talk to you guys a little bit about Biblades. So I wanted to do a noob guide on Biblades and why I use Biblades, how to fly Biblades, which Biblades to use, all that good stuff. After I released a video where I asked you guys for help on Betaflight RC4, where I was having all those crazy oscillations and vibrations using Biblades, a lot of people asked me questions about it. Some people told me that I was crazy to be using Biblades, that I should just be using Triblades and this and that, and there was a lot of discussion around it. And a fella, Shavi, I think? Yeah, Shavi from the FPV chat told me that I should make a video about Biblades and maybe demystify some of that stuff and explain to people why I use it and how I use it, and that might help some people out there that are struggling and deciding what they want to do. Anyway, so what I have here is the Apex, and I'm going to be using it to illustrate some of the things that I'm talking about. I have the video build of the Apex ready to go, except that Premiere is being a complete douchebag and not allowing me to really export it. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on there, messing around with the project. Hopefully I get that thing exported this week so that you guys can see how the build came together on the Apex. I haven't even flown this guy yet, but I cannot wait for the next opportunity because it looks awesome. So anyway, let's talk about Biblades. So first of all, why the hell do I use Biblades? Mostly because of my shitty luck with racing. I used to run these blades right here. So I used to run these quad blades for a while, and then I ran tri-blades. These are the only ones that I have in hand right now, are the 50/50 ones, because I never really used these, but I used to run different tri-blades before. And anytime that I would clip a gate during a race or crash or anything like that, especially with these would bend and my race was over, because my motors would either overheat or it would just become unflyable with the oscillations. So yeah, so that would take me out of the race. Anytime I clip the gate, I was out of the race. Same thing with tri-blades. I clip a gate, out of the race. And these ones were even worse because the hubs are really tall, so the screws don't grip as well. So sometimes when you hit this, these ones just become loose like right away. So yeah, there's that. Then one day I noticed that one of the faster guys in our groups there, he was running these types of Biblades right here, these bullnose dolls, and he was doing really well, and it seemed like he could clip gates and keep going, and I was like, well, maybe there's something here. So let's think about this for a second. So we have 4 props traveling here, right? And they're all spinning and they're coming towards a target. Let's say my finger is the target. There are at least 4 chances of something hitting that finger and becoming bent or broken with the 4 blades. The 3 blades, and now I have 3, and they're spinning and traveling, and there's a possibility that I might hit it head on and bend the whole thing or break the prop. Cool. The Biblades, there's a lot more area around here and around the props on both sides here and here that there's nothing to hit. And even if you do glance on it sideways, the damage tends to be much smaller. Like, you'll get nicks around the edge of your Biblade, but it typically doesn't break and it typically doesn't bend. At least that has been my experience. I've gotten a lot better survivability out of my quad after I started flying Biblades, because then whenever I clipped gates, it was less lethal to the prop and I was able to continue flying. So that improved my racing. So that's why I switched to Biblades, part. Then I started to really enjoy the feel of the Biblades. Like, I really liked how they flew. They have a little bit less grip around the air, but in situations where you have a lot of headwind against your quad, they actually provide you a little bit of an advantage, because there's less disc area for the wind to push against and slow you down. So there's an advantage in windy conditions, but the feel is much looser. You have less grip in the air, 100% less grip. But there are ways to compensate for that. So when you're flying with Biblades, really what you want to do is use more throttle. So we'll talk about that a little bit too, but just continuing on the uses for Biblades, I'd say that you're better off using Biblades for racing, and maybe not all types of racing. Some tracks that are extremely technical and tight, you might still want to use the tri-blades because it'll provide you better grip around the air. But if you get really used to Biblades and you know how to fly them even in a technical setting, they're not a problem. Which Biblades would I use? Would I use Biblades for freestyle? No, not really. They don't really provide that punch and that mid-range power that you need to do the really small, close quarter stuff. I wouldn't say these are great for freestyle. Now, I do freestyle with these Biblades here with the 50/50 dowels, because to me they work fine, and I'm not a huge freestyler anyway, and I don't buy freestyle props anymore. I just buy these ones, and this is all I run. Yeah, definitely wouldn't use them for freestyle. Anyway, Going back to which type of prop you should probably use, I would stay away from the bull nose. Even though these are great for not breaking ever, they're not very efficient and they're only 45 pitch. What you really want is to run something like the 5051, or sorry, the 5050 Dallas, the Cyclones, because they have nice efficient tips and they provide a sizable increase in thrust versus the bull nose. Motor-wise, you want to make sure you're running high kV motors. It's the only way to really get the most out of your Biblades. A lot of people complain about Biblades, but if you're running a 2300 kV motor, even if it's a 2306 or bigger, it doesn't matter. KVs are too low to spin these fast enough to provide the thrust numbers you want. You also need to have enough torque on your motor to spin these up fast enough to provide that thrust change that you need when racing. So I run these on 2206s. 2205s are okay. They can definitely run it if they're 2500 kV or up, but they don't provide as much torque. These ones here, the bell acceleration is much faster. So these spin up to speed much quicker, and you feel a faster response on the throttle by using something like a 2206 or larger, but you have to make sure that they are at least 2500 kV or more to get the most benefit out of your props or out of the Biblades. If you're running low kV stuff, 2300 kV, forget it. It's going to feel like crap. Don't even try it. Just stick to tri-blades or quad blades or something like that. It would be much better for you. Now, when flying the Biblades, really what you have to keep in mind is when you're coming to a corner, you have to give more throttle than you used to. That's really it. You can still turn just as tightly and make just as quick of a turn as you would with a more grippy blade, but you have to compensate with throttle. That's it. That's really the only secret here. And once I learned that, I found that racing with Biblades felt great, and I really, really like them. The other benefit is that when you cut throttle, these things drop very quickly. So you can drop altitude really, really quickly and avoid an obstacle that maybe you weren't aware of, or maybe you came a little bit too high on a gate and you just cut that throttle and this thing just drops like a rock. It's really, really impressive. So that's basically my take on Biblades, guys. If you're racing and you want to try them out, just make sure you're running high kV motors and just give it extra throttle around the turns. You're going to feel the difference. You're going to turn just like your other props do. It's just that people don't usually switch to Biblades and don't take the time to get used to the new throttle curve that you're going to operate in. And you're going to operate on a higher throttle area usually with Biblades than you would when you're using tri-blades. Once you get used to that, it's fine. It's no different than flying anything else. The thrust numbers on these are great. They're not as efficient as some of the tri-blades out there, but I'm willing to sacrifice that efficiency for the survivability and speed that I get with the Biblades right now. So guys, that pretty much covers it in terms of Biblades, my mini guide here to you guys and why I use Biblades and how I use them. I hope that was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop me a line on the bottom of the comments here and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or come find me on fpvchat.slack.com. I'm always happy to answer your guys' questions, and hopefully I can have a video of the build of this guy up to you guys very soon. I apologize for the delay, but it's just been a terrible, terrible time with Premiere Pro, and I'm not sure why the hell it's giving me so much grief. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.